to tell you that you can catch Mattinata Musicale
Good
Saturday
morning,
mornings from
Livestream.
7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on WWDB 860. So if you're in the mood to listen to great Italian music, make sure to tune into Mattinata Musicale on Saturday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. on WWDB
That's a great
860.
ad, right?
I'm
It is.
looking forward to having you all there. Grazie mille e ci sentiamo prestissimo.
WWDB Philadelphia, 860 AM.
Good morning, Philadelphia listeners on WWDB 860 and everywhere else via the live stream. This is Kevin O'Brien. I'm with Wayne Middleton. It's Monday morning. It's the SMB Acceleration Show. We have a lot of great things happening today. If you have any questions or thoughts and want to call in, remember, give us a call, 888-329-3306. If you're a small business owner who's looking to improve how they use Facebook to grow their business, you're in luck. We're going to have Gabe Riley from Facebook on with us later today. He's going to be talking about using Messenger for business. So, but before we get into today's show, Wayne, how was the drive down?
Well, everyone, for once, it has been kind to me. The drive-in was uneventful.
On a non-holiday Monday.
Exactly. I didn't have any idiots cut me off. I didn't have any problems at all. So, wah, wah, wah. What I will point out, though, is there was a little typo in my name here. And I have to say, Kevin, in the show notes, it's an interesting one. I am now going to be known henceforth as Wayne Middleton. It was a great typo. I love it. And I'm going to live with that one for a while.
Good old Wayne Middleton.
Wayne Middleton. It's my alter ego.
Well, you know, we were talking about actors earlier today, Dan and I, and, you know, that fits right in. That's your persona,
Exactly.
Wayne Middleton.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, it actually, you know, has a nice flow to it.
It does. It runs off the tongue very nicely.
A lot of W's.
Wayne Middleton. Thanks, Dan. But yeah, a very uneventful journey in, so it gave me time to think up on stuff and just kind of, mull over the day. So it should be a good day. It's going to be great temperatures out there, so hopefully everyone's Monday morning starts off.
Is it really?
Beautifully, yeah.
Supposed to be a nice day out?
Up to the 50s, apparently.
Ooh, nice.
Should be good.
No ice fishing, huh?
No ice fishing. There's no ice.
That's true. You gonna do any plans to get out and?
Yeah, there's probably going to be a few little fly fishing sessions somewhere, but
is that on the drive home, or you got to stop?
No, that'll be.
I don't know if there's any streams you have to hit on the drive back.
No, not this week. But I was out on Sunday. Managed to catch a couple, so that was good fun.
Nice.
Just nice to be out. We got some. I'm really looking forward to today's show.
Having
Gabe on should be really interesting. Get to learn a little bit more about Facebook Messenger and.
I was saying I don't know much about it, honestly. I have not really ever used it.
I've not used it in terms of trying to promote anything that I've been working with, but I have received a lot of sales type messages through Facebook.
Okay.
So it's quite interesting. My my British Bass Slammer thing, I get in touch with all these fishing companies that's selling baits or rods or all these different bits and pieces.
Okay.
And I've noticed a huge uptake in them using Messenger.
Really?
So they're really latching into their Facebook groups and people who sign up to it and marketing to them directly. And it's interesting because not only do you get that first promotion, but they've been working in some cross promotions on it too, and it has been interesting. I've always kind of in the back of my mind thought, I need to take some time and learn that. So hopefully,
absolutely. I feel the same way. After having some back and forth with the folks at Facebook, I was like, wow, I really should. I mean, I was mentioning to them how I've administered and run different Facebook pages of different sizes, but have never really implemented it, and it seems like could be a great way to you probably use more for customer service than to blast people with
I mean, customer service makes sense as a platform, but I think you'll get depending on what you're trying to achieve with your marketing, it's a great way to use a captive audience to help promote and sell your services or products. It's going to your community. I guess if you was to pay more for it, you could probably get more reach. But if you've got a following of say 3,000 or 4,000 or even slightly less, maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 leads that you can get out there with regular marketing messages that know who you are, that understand your brand, and who knows, you might get a couple of wins out of it. It's worth the investment in time and effort, I think.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'd love, it's going to be really interesting having Gabe on and trying to, pick his brains around data points and give us some kind of thoughts and ideas around how we can leverage that and how our listeners can leverage it too.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be interesting. And so I guess we can get into the old small business news, huh?
Yeah. It's been an interesting week.
It always is. I'll tell you, I saw this article. It's a little old, but I just came across it, and I thought it was a really interesting use of, kind of the customer journey, but, tying it to like a corporate social responsibility. And I guess there's this Mississippi hotel that brings in shelter dogs. It's a long stay. Home to Suites is the company, and it's in Biloxi, Mississippi. So as the article was pointing out, they have a lot of long-term people staying with the, armed forces or, business-wise. And the operating manager of the hotel thought, was trying to find ways to really differentiate them from their competition. And she said, well, what is the one thing people are missing when they're at an extended stay hotel? And her idea was like their pets.
Family pets.
Yeah. So she had this idea to work with a local shelter to get dogs adopted while leaving one at the hotel as like a way to, increase adoptions for the shelter and increase her customer satisfaction.
That was a really good idea. I mean, there's been lots of recorded data around having a pet in the office and having a pet in your workplace and how it can relax you and reduce stress and everything else. I mean, when you're traveling, it can be quite stressful, especially for business. It can be quite stressful, right? So, you're in an alien environment. You may not be looking to, or you may have a pet at home and you're missing them. What better way to get some neglected dogs rehomed?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Nice
I was
idea.
like, it's really genius, and it's really such a great way to differentiate yourself from. I mean, from what I've now looked at, it looks like they picked up really, national press for it. So now, not only did you have you increased customer satisfaction, you've also made your, hotel differentiated clearly from everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, talk about differentiate yourself in a very crowded marketplace. I mean, hotels are notoriously overpopulated if you think about it, and you've got a million choices that you can make. If you are an animal lover and you're in that kind of area, I mean, it's a great place to check out straight away. I mean, I've stayed in Home 2 Suites, and they're fairly good.
Okay.
I had pleasant experiences in them, but if I had a dog sitting in there with me, it'd probably be
even better, right?
Exactly.
No, it is. It's interesting because not too long ago, I was reading someone who is in the hotel space that was really pushing for more hotels to focus on being that there really are a lot of them are independently owned small businesses that are like part of the community, but
it's a franchise.
Because they're a franchise, people often forget that there is that local tie. And that lady was like, they should probably sponsor more 5Ks and like kind of differentiate themselves on the local scale as well.
Absolutely, grow their local community and be involved. I mean, we've talked a lot about how that can differentiate your business no matter what your size or scale. I mean, what better way than supporting a local humane society and helping them rehouse these these animals,
I think it's
which is fantastic. Again, follow suit. Let's try something different, think out of the box, and see what happens, because it made national press on USA Today. So it can't be a bad thing, right?
No, and I mean that's probably there's probably 1,000 articles I've now seen about mentioning it.
Yeah, so it's pretty well distributed over the web, right?
Yeah. So I mean, if anybody's going to Biloxi, Mississippi, and you're right, like you even probably Google, long stay hotels, in Biloxi. I bet you so many of those articles come up, which now really is turning the tide from even an SEO perspective and all for that hotel.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's such a great idea, and it just differentiates yourself so well.
Absolutely, and I think it ties in well to the other article I came across from the other day, and that was on Forbes.com, and it was 10 great ways to attract new customers to your small business. And it was just mentioned, use discounts and promotions, ask for referrals, connect with old customers, network, or just among some of the things. One that I kind of touches home for us was update your website.
Yep.
But,
I mean, your website should always be growing, right? It should always be evolving. It should always be kept up to date. And if it's not, and I've come across a couple more recently working with one of our clients who has clients of their own and been asking me to make some updates and tweaks to their customers' websites. A lot of them are static HTML.
Really?
Even today, and they're pretty. I mean, obviously an expert looking at these things. The user experience is, well, there isn't one. Let's be honest. Some of them are pretty bad. So, they could be losing people by their pure web presence and not seeing enough decent content coming in, not being optimized correctly, not driving enough customer engagement through it. So it really is important to keep that website up to date.
Absolutely, it really is. It makes such a difference, from an outside perspective of people looking in, of like, oh wait, this business is a little bit more up to date or a little more web savvy, especially if I'm going to look to make to like an online either purchase or book an appointment online. So, a lot of times an older website gives you pause for using it.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly, I go to websites if I'm looking for a local service or something like that, and I go to a website and it's like right off the bat, if it doesn't have certain things, if it's not visually attractive, if it's not easy to use, I won't use that company. They could be the best company in my local area, but if their website sucks, I'm not going to use them. And I'm terrible for that. And even down to restaurants. Like, if I choose a restaurant I'm going to, if their website's bad, it makes me think their food's going to be bad, so I don't use it. I'm probably unique in that fashion, but...
That's great. If your website's bad, I'm not going to your restaurant. I'm not buying an egg sandwich from you.
Exactly. Like, I want to have, if I'm looking up something and I'm trying to find information quickly and easily, last thing I want to do is be stuck on a website that I can't access that information, so I'll instantly leave. I mean, there are some. Trust me, I've done a lot of research on different websites over the years. There are some real humdingers out there.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, I might have to do a blog post and post it up on our website. World's worst websites. I'm pretty certain it'd be a pretty extensive list, but I can come up with 10 or 20 just off
the top of your head of ones that just drive you crazy.
Yeah, just bad UX, really badly designed. Some not, I would consider not even designed, just kind of words stuck on a page.
Some of them amaze me. The intent. There's a used car dealer, I want to say, is it Las Vegas? So maybe I feel like it's Las Vegas, but they have this like awful, like historically awful website, but they're running these crazy nonstop user testing on it. Wow. That the awful website actually converts really well for used cars.
That's funny.
And the guy does. Somebody I used to work with who did a lot of e-commerce work in the automotive space. Used to always hold it up as an example of why you really need to run conversion testing on everything, because apparently this used car dealer does, and they found like the giant bold like Comic Sans font and stuff, actually over like 100,000 page views leads to higher conversions and like mismatched copy or like it's crazy. It's one of them, and he holds it up as like the world's worst landing page that shouldn't convert, but the guy is doing like $20 million a month in car sales because of it.
Yeah, for every piece of data that I can find that probably counteracts everything that's in his report, there's always those outliers that break the rules. Right?
And from what he said, the guys run like standard testing versus this crazy, like red, yellow, and all, and over time the crazy one works. It is. Right, and you wonder, is there something about the used car experience, what people are already expecting? So I think it's a good reminder that you should test a lot of things.
Absolutely, and you think about all the used car dealerships out there; they have pretty bog standard websites. But I remember there was an app trying to help it make used car buying easier. If you think about it, it was all geared around good experience and being able to access all the information you need in one touch, everything else. It'd be kind of interesting to stand that one side by side with that app and see which one actually performs well. Yeah. I mean, again, we've gone slightly off topic, but I think that was a great idea about being able to introduce or bring in new business and things like that. There's some great tips in there, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, and the last one I would touch on is the one about promoting your expertise, and I think that's such an important one. That something we always talk when talking with small business owners is sometimes they feel like, well, I don't know this, and you have to remind them that they know their industry better than anyone. Yeah, that's why they're in it.
Exactly. It's surprising how much kind of knowledge they have in there. They just it may be worded differently, may be framed differently. We need them to help. A lot of the time when I'm talking with customers in that respect, it's really trying to get out of them those little nuggets, those little pieces of information to differentiate themselves and shows their knowledge level. But it's all in there. It's just a matter of how do I get it out, and then how do I put that into a form of content, whether that's through video or through copy. So it's all there. It's definitely check out this article. It's worth looking at. It's on Forbes.com for those who didn't hear. And the title of the piece is "Attract New Customers, Small Business Tips." It's a really good, useful little
quick
checklist.
Read. Exactly.
Easy, and it leads really nicely into as you've heard us talking about on the show about these startups that and I think we spoke a little bit about this last week with Bart, which is Shopify and trying to start these quick small shops using Alibaba and Chinese products and stuff. And so interestingly enough, we came across the article that is small businesses are struggling against the Chinese counterfeiting trade because they're running these small e-commerce shops. They're getting similar products but not the same products. They're counterfeit, and therefore it's causing quite a lot of problems.
I'll be honest, I first became aware of this maybe just about a year ago. Someone I worked with was kind of opened my eyes to it. I really had no idea. Like, I buy everything just about from Amazon. As we've talked about before, especially when having little kids, of getting, diapers and the wipes and everything just delivered, so you never had to make those night runs, which has turned into buy everything from Amazon. Pretty much, I have to say I don't comparison shop too often. If I know what I need and the price looks like pretty comparable, I know I'm going to get it in a day or two. It's good for me. But this guy I worked with was really into electronics and was like, no, you have to go online, go on YouTube and look and see how many fake electronics are being sold by non-real vendors. And the big thing at the time was Beats by Dre. They were really $10 headphones. People were marketing in Beats by Dre packaging, and selling for $150.
I mean, it's become a major issue when the administration gets involved, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what this whole article's about. It's about the idea that the administration is starting to look at new initiatives to crack down on the sale of illegal products. What you've got to remember, in a lot of countries in Asia, they have no counterfeiting laws. So you can legally rip off a Nike shirt or a smartphone or a smartwatch and promote it as an Apple product. There's no laws to stop them from doing that. So it'd be really interesting. And again, this kind of situation becomes a global issue, which is, okay, they have no counterfeiting laws, but everywhere else in the West does. So how do you bridge that gap, and how do you kind of control it?
Yes.
Because some of them are virtually impossible to tell the difference, but they are not the real thing. And it can be the subtlest thing, down to stitching on clothing is not the right stitching, and that's one of the counterfeits. And there's a big company actually in the US, and I know this because I was doing some work with them, that bought up this product a long time ago, and it's called GS1. They basically created barcodes, and basically the barcode is the standard way of being able to understand the product history.
Okay.
So you can understand where the product came from, how it was manufactured, where it was delivered, and everything else. And it's all about the chain of all those events. So if you think about any single product, if you ship abroad and you're selling that product in a different country, there's so many ways that product can suddenly disappear from your line and never be found again. And so it ends up in someone's hands as a model. It could be a real product when it's in the warehouse, but it ends up on the slightly sketchier side of life. It's either sold cheaper or duplicated mass production as a knockoff version. And so GS1 have been working for years with different companies, different manufacturers and producers, to try to connect that gap. That's, when the end consumer orders a product, how do you know it's actually the product you're ordering and it's got true validity? 9 times out of 10 it's good, but there's that 1% of different things that come either from knocked off goods, like stolen from the warehouse, or just counterfeit products. So this isn't a new issue, and it's not just Chinese products that are doing it. It's actually any product you can think of. Sometimes they just disappear and you get an illegal product. You're getting it cheaper, and as an online buyer, that's what's attracting you to it. But the reality is probably stolen goods in the first place. So it's really interesting. And when you dig deeper into this topic, it becomes such an overwhelming problem. Like, how do you get from point A to point B and then find out everything in between about where a product's gone, how it's travelled, who marked it, what, is that barcode the legitimate barcode? Is the description of that product accurate? There's so many different things, and it's a huge problem. And it's great to see that the administration is getting on top of it and looking into it. But I think this is more than just the US administration. I think globally it's a major issue. And until counterfeiting laws start strengthening in Asian countries, it's never really going to be solved.
And I mean, as long as there's a will, people are going to counterfeit. There's probably been goods counterfeited for just about as long as mankind has been around, right?
Exactly. I mean, you can't always afford the best of the best, so you try to find, you look for the best deal, and you think you're getting the product that you want because it's cheaper, and you think, I got a result. But the reality is, it's probably a counterfeit one. And
if you look at like real AirPods, right, versus everything else, there's a reason they're at the same price all the time.
I mean, there's some great examples on this, and it's on cnbc.com if you want to check it out. But it shows you actually how difficult and such a monumental task this is. Actually demonstrates and shows you some of the real products versus the counterfeit. And honestly, you're going to struggle to see the differences as to which one is real, which one is fake, because they are so accurately represented.
Amazing. Absolutely.
So it's a great topic, and there's certainly a lot that can happen with it, and I'm glad to see that the US government is getting involved as well, because the last thing you want is all these counterfeit products running around, and then reputations of businesses start to suffer because you're not getting legitimate products.
Absolutely, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing the things you don't think of when you're going to start your first Shopify store.
Yeah, no,
right?
You don't.
You're like, wait a minute, especially when you're trying to source things. And I mean, the global supply chain is just, kind of...
It's crazy. I mean, it's a science in itself, let alone anything else. And then, throw into the mix of counterfeiting and everything else. And, there is, as Bart said, and as we said many times on the show, there is no quick fix or quick get-rich-quick version of an e-commerce site. There really isn't, because there's so many complications in there.
Yes.
And don't go into it blindly. Go into it with knowledge and an understanding of what you may be up against, because it will open your eyes to a whole new world.
Absolutely. And that really kind of takes us to the last thing we were going to talk about with the small business news. And that was an interesting look at how businesses might be best served by buying the real estate where their business is, or buying a building and kind of being their own landlord. I think it's a really interesting topic a lot of small business owners probably don't often think about.
Yeah, I wonder what the percentage of rented properties versus owned properties is when it comes to stores or bars or restaurants, whatever it is.
It's pretty low.
I'd imagine it is, but the reality is, if you can afford to buy, not only have you got your products that you're selling, but you're also a property owner.
Yes.
Again, if you start off as one business and it happens, it doesn't quite pan out the way you want, you still own the property. That property has a massive value, depending on where you are, obviously. So you can then either sell the property to someone else, or you can transform it very easily from what you were trying to achieve before into a new type of business.
Yes.
Or you can rent it out to someone who wants to start a business. So again, it makes a lot of sense. And
it does. I never put too much thought into it, and I've I guess been fortunate to lease a number of different spaces, a couple restaurants and a couple offices, and it's just something I never even thought of. And I mean, I know with commercial real estate, there's a lot of options for owner financing and stuff like that. You can often work out deals where you can't necessarily in residential, and maybe that is like a really good idea for a lot of businesses.
Especially somewhere like San Francisco, New York,
yes.
where real estate is at a premium, right? And it's
Mhm.
sometimes very expensive to get the funding to get a business. So that could be a great way into it. And just think about that from an asset point of view. I mean, you're sitting in San Francisco,
I can't imagine what
could be a couple of $100,000 to $1 million, million plus, depending on where you're located. All of a sudden, you're sitting on a small fortune just in the building, let alone the business underneath it. So it's the same as renting a house. This is the way I look at it. If I rent a house, I'm basically throwing money. I'm paying someone else's mortgage and
Mhm.
not getting anything out of it. Whereas if I own a house, I'm paying a mortgage, but I'm also accruing equity in that. And so that makes it much more financially viable for me as a homeowner versus being a renter.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good way to look at it, and I think so you're saying to kind of apply the same thing to being the business owner, and I think that's an interesting point you made about if your business isn't working, you might have another idea, or you can transform it, or if the demographics of the area change, you could say, oh wait, there's a great opportunity to do this, and I already have the space. And
like it could be a up and coming area, and you start off as a trendy kind of boutique shop, and then lo and behold, the whole kind of ethos of that area changes, and it becomes much more local inspired, organic. So you could open an organic shop rather than a clothing store, and you can transform it very easily. I think the other thing is again, for not everyone's going to go and buy a building to run their business in, but they will lease it. And so worst case scenario, you lease your property for
to somebody,
to
and then you're kind of.
It seems like easy money to me.
And I've really had some interesting conversations. I know there is we have talked about it previously. Is that whole cost segregation analysis and stuff you can do on commercial real estate. So I think it becomes a lot of really good tax implications for business. Yeah. If you're a successful, you're running a successful business, I think there's a lot of tax strategies and stuff you can start doing.
Absolutely, and just speaking again from not personal experience, but experience of working for companies that have decided to move to a bought location rather than a rented. A lot of cities, if they're kind of going through the gentrification process, will actually give you stipends and discounts and tax breaks.
That's a great point.
To get you into their community, because your business is valuable to the whole community as a whole. And so if you can find those areas, Allentown has gone through this for the last couple of years, it can become a good tax break for you and become profitable overall.
No, it really can. That's a great point. We'll actually it's a great idea. We should really bring on somebody from the commercial real estate space and just get them to kind of talk on that and kind of give us some insights on, hey, this is what you could do. This is why. We'll have to plan for that down the line. I would think it would make a lot of sense to, have somebody come in and, just kind of say, hey, there's a lot of strategies for doing this. Here's how I would look at it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and given your connections, it shouldn't be too difficult.
No, absolutely. I could probably get somebody from my work to come in and talk about it. Even though we mainly do Delaware and Southeast PA and not a ton in Philadelphia, it's still the same principles apply.
The same, yeah.
I mean, the principles of being in Wilmington or Newark, same as Philadelphia or Allentown.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because especially as your business grows, kind of a growing expense.
Yeah.
You know?
Because eventually, we all hope that our business gets big enough that we run out of space. And if we run out of space, like, what do you do if you own that property?
Absolutely.
And then how do you either upscale it or how do you sell it? And what are the implications of selling that property and buying a new property? So it's a great topic, and I think it'd be worth getting someone in on.
Absolutely. I mean, I know, let's take a quick break, but before we do, I just want to remind everybody, if you miss anything on the radio broadcast or live stream this morning, you can catch the podcast on our website or anywhere you like to get your podcasts. Our website is SMBAcceleration.com. Remember, when we get back, we're going to get into some Facebook Messenger for business. So we'll be back quickly and get into some Facebook Messenger.
Welcome to 2020. It's time to give your small business a good makeover.
You should remember.
Why not look at a new website? Why not look at your brand and see how you're performing online? Or
Yeah.
are you trying to grow your social media channels?
For
SMB
those on
Acceleration
Livestream, if
Radio
you are
Show
a
can have
business
the
owner
answers for
and
you.
you own your
Join us as a
property that your
guest,
business
or
is
be
run from,
sponsoring the show.
ping us and
We
let
can
us
help
know
no matter what the problem.
challenge is.
Call 855-308-3825. Want to promote your business or sponsor a show? Give us a call at 855-308-5825. And be sure to subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Google, Stitcher, and all your favorite podcast platforms.
Hey, did you hear the groundhog predicted an early spring? But why wait to find out if he's right or not? Start planning your summer vacation with our favorite option for booking that getaway in North Wildwood, New Jersey. Shore Points Realty, specializing in rental and sales in the Wildwoods and Cape May County for years. Shore Points Realty will help you land your dream home by the Jersey Shore. Call 609-522-2286 or visit them on the web at shorepointsrealtynj.com.
If you're a real estate investor looking to buy or sell off-market properties in 2020, then check out We Buy Real Estate Inc. We Buy Real Estate Inc. is a real estate company focused on buying and selling off-market commercial, industrial, and residential properties. Investors, stop paying retail for your real estate. From investor-friendly real estate services to helping locate off-market real estate deals, We Buy Real Estate Inc. is your Philadelphia area real estate company. For more information on their services, visit their website, WeBuyRealEstateInc.com, or give them a call at 215-987-4561. Investors, if you just want to see the inventory of off-market deals, send them an email, info@WeBuyRealEstateInc.com. All right, we'll be back. And we're about to get into some Facebook Messenger for Business with Gabe Riley of Facebook. So, Gabe, you there?
I am. Hey, guys.
Morning.
Hey,
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining us today. It's going to be really exciting because both of us are fairly novice at Messenger. I've experienced getting a lot of messages from companies through it, and I'll be honest, I've clicked on a few and actually purchased some products that have been pretty good. So be really interesting, and I'm excited to get discussing it and see if our listeners can take advantage of this great opportunity for themselves.
Right on. Well, thanks again for having me. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to discussing.
Awesome. So is it a nice early morning there on the West Coast, huh?
Yeah, it's 5:30, but that's right. It's nothing a cup of coffee can't take care of.
Excellent. Yeah. I feel the same way about my morning coffee.
Yes, I couldn't start the radio show without coffee in the morning, so I get where you're coming from with that one.
Awesome. So as Wayne mentioned, we're both kind of have little experience using, some experience, I guess, receiving messages. So I guess, would you just give us, everybody a little bit of background on Facebook Messenger for Business? What is it? How, kind of just a little bit of background on it.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start, before we get into the business part, I can start with just kind of what Messenger from Facebook is overall.
Perfect.
And then where businesses fit in. So Messenger is Facebook's messaging app. So if you have ever messaged someone on Facebook, you're using Messenger. If you have the Messenger app from Facebook installed on your phone, you're using Messenger. It's like texting. It allows you to message anyone you're connected with on Facebook or even people who you're not connected with on Facebook through your contacts. So it's just like SMS or standard messaging, and it's one of the top messaging apps in the world, and certainly in the United States in particular. So there are 176 million people on the Messenger app in the United States. So it's a big portion of the population. And then as far as businesses on the platform, it's, as I mentioned, Messenger is connected to Facebook and allows you to message anyone on Facebook, and that includes businesses. So if your business has a Facebook page, you can very easily be on Messenger, and there are a lot of businesses on messaging. So one of the reasons at Facebook we really focus on messaging, which includes Messenger, but some of our other messaging apps like WhatsApp, which some of your audience may have heard of, or Instagram Direct, which allows you to send messages within the Instagram app. One of the reasons we're so focused on messaging is because it's a really quickly growing consumer behavior. So people, your customers, right, are messaging one another, but they're also messaging businesses, as Wayne mentioned. And this is kind of mind-boggling, but could you guys guess on a given month how many messages are sent between people and businesses just on Messenger alone?
I'm going to go for a high number of 2.2 million. That'd be my guess.
So we got total messages sent in a month.
Yeah, between people and businesses. So not even people overall, but just between people and businesses.
I'll double Wayne's number. I'll go around the 5 million mark.
Yeah, so it's 20 billion, which is mind-boggling, right?
I mean, wow,
it's kind of crazy. But if you think in your own lives, just about how much you message, whether that's on the Messenger app or it's through SMS, or maybe if you have an iPhone, you're using iMessage, you just think about how much you're texting or messaging. It kind of makes sense. And I think what's been kind of like eye-popping to us is not only do people continue to message each other more and more, and that continues to grow, and that's why at Facebook we're so focused on messaging overall, but the rise of people messaging businesses is growing even faster. So the rate of growth of that behavior is even faster. So we think not only is messaging an important behavior among people, and that's why it's important to Facebook, but it's increasingly and rapidly growing between people and businesses.
That's really interesting. We actually had a small business owner who does employee benefits and health insurance, and he was on a couple weeks ago, and he was just mentioning how much he uses WhatsApp to, among other things, but WhatsApp primarily just to get a hold of so many people, because it kind of has moved to messaging apps away from more traditional email and stuff.
Yeah, and WhatsApp is our biggest messaging platform, and I believe it's probably the biggest messaging service in the world. There are like 2 billion people using WhatsApp, which is crazy. In the U.S., Messenger is the dominant of the two. So if you're a business and you're thinking in this country of getting up and running on a messaging app and giving that a try, Messenger would be the way to go. But in a lot of other countries in the world, what's interesting is WhatsApp has even kind of like leapfrogged mobile websites. So we have some businesses in not just emerging countries, but developed countries around the world who start with a WhatsApp number and manage their entire business through WhatsApp rather than having a business website, which is kind of fascinating.
That is absolutely fascinating.
That is, because you think about it, there's no real content to that. It's just direct communication, which if you think about our relationship with businesses, that's what you want. You want that direct link to that business. So you can ask questions, you can, let's be fair, probably complain. I like to complain on it. So, again, it's direct access to a business that typically you wouldn't have that kind of connection with. So that does make sense. It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I guess, Gabe, how would you recommend, because I'm sure there's plenty of small business owners who hear it and, are so familiar with using Facebook personally and, different varying levels as far as in their business. How would you recommend they kind of get started using Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, it's a great question. I know, like one of the tough things about being a small business, running a small business, is you hear something like this, and you got the feeling like, oh my gosh, now there's like one more thing right, I need to figure out, or there's one more service or company out there who wants me to do something on their platform, or wants a handout for me or something like that. And so the first thing to know is that this is really easy to get started. And so if your business already has a Facebook page, that's all you need. You don't need to sign up for another service. You don't necessarily need to install another app. Nothing like that. And all of the messaging tools we offer, there are some products that you have to pay for, some advertising products you have to pay for, but messaging as a business on the platform, sending messages to customers, responding to their questions, all of that is free. All of that is built into the tools that we offer businesses through their Facebook page. So if you're a business and you're interested in this, you want to get started, you go to your Facebook page. Within your Facebook page, in either your settings or on the Facebook page itself for your business, you'll see across the top of the page there's something called Inbox. If you're in your settings, you'll see something called Messaging. If you click on either one of those tabs, you'll start to get access to the tools that will allow your business to message. The most important thing is to just check one little box or click one little button to turn page messaging on. So once you turn messaging on for your page, people will then be able to message you through either your page on Facebook. So they'll see within your page that they can message your business. You guys may have visited pages of other businesses and seen that you can send them a message. You'll sometimes see a call to action button there. That means they've turned page messaging on in their page settings. And then you'll also be discoverable in the Messenger app. So if you have the Messenger app installed on your phone, you search for a business you want to chat with. Once you search from them, you'll see the business name and their icon, which is their Facebook page profile picture in the Messenger app as well. So that's how you get started. If you have a Facebook page, you are ready to be a small business on Messenger. It's that easy. And then in terms of like what we see businesses doing and how they're using it, I mean, Wayne, you mentioned this, like it's a great way to answer customer questions. So for a lot of businesses, like questions and a conversation is really important. You say you offer some kind of service, maybe it's a professional service, or let's say you're a plumber or something like that. You may have a service, right, that people have questions about.
Yep.
What are your hours? Do you repair this particular kind of product or issue that I have? Maybe it's timely for this time of year. Maybe you prepare income taxes. Do you offer this kind of filing or this kind of service? So any business where questions or conversation are really a core part of your process, your selling process, Messenger can help you answer those questions more easily. I know you guys are saying like their business is up and running on WhatsApp and they handle all their communication that way. I think one of the interesting things about this is we see this rise of people messaging businesses because it is easier and people prefer to do it. So like 63% of people tell us that they would rather send a message to a business than email them or call. So it's a really easy way for people to shoot you a question and get something done quickly. The other benefit is the same thing is true the other way, right? If you're a business, it might be easier for you to respond to a message on the go than having to answer the phone or having to respond to emails and batches or things like that. Again, if you're a kind of a business provider who's out in the world, just taking out your phone and quickly responding to a message is just as easy for you to deal with as it is for the person who's curious and wanting to get started. So businesses that offer services and have lots of questions coming their way seem to really like it. Businesses that want to generate leads are also doing this. I've worked with a business who's a caterer, and it's really important for them not only to get people sending them questions, but also sending them their information and booking services. They do that through Messenger. So those are important as well. I think one of the misconceptions is that it's just for customer service. So when you were mentioning messaging businesses to complain, that's fair game. Do that, of course. If you have an issue as an existing customer, totally cool. but we see people messaging businesses at all parts of whatever you want to call this, the purchasing process, the customer journey, the marketing funnel. It's not just for customer service. It can be part of your sales process. It can be part of prospecting. It can be part of consideration or answering questions from people who are thinking about hiring your business to do something. So it's not just customer service. Businesses can turn on page messaging and start answering these kinds of questions and addressing kind of opportunities throughout that customer process.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
I mean, and again, from any small business owner looking to use this, good customer service tips are abound. You want to respond quickly. You want to make sure that you're communicating effectively and helping them solve their problems or directing them somewhere to solve that problem. So again, I think what I have noticed in the communications I've had, whether that's through lead gen kind of a approach or am I complaining, is the speed of the response was all important. And 9 times out of 10, the companies that I did kind of respond to me, it was instant. It was really, and you think about that from an email point of view, it's not always easy to get instant satisfaction to your questions or queries. But what I did find on Messenger is, absolutely, it was instant. Those that didn't respond quickly, and I've still got one complaint actually, is a product complaint. There was a problem with a product that I purchased. They never responded to me, so therefore I've literally just deleted their messages and no longer going to use any of their products or services. So that speed of reaching out and connecting with that individual talking to you is all important too.
No, it absolutely is, and I always thought about it in the customer service aspect. But, Gabe, you made a great point. I would kind of like to dig into using it for lead gen. And as far as much as you can share about the caterer, because I think there's a lot of local type small businesses in that same mold of would love to use it for lead gen, and not just fielding complaints from Wayne. But how did they go about doing it for the sales process? How much can you dig in?
Yeah, sure.
What were they finding success? How are they using it for success, I guess?
Yeah, so that's funny you ask about lead generation in particular. So that's been one of the use cases for Messenger with businesses of all sizes. That's been the most successful. It's taken off like wildfire for a few reasons. So there's 2 ways you can do it. And I know from your episode on Facebook ads for 2020 that you guys are experts in our advertising tools. But I'll give you kind of two options for thinking about how you might do this with Messenger. One using some of our ad tools, and then the other using what are called boosted posts, which I know you guys know as well and have covered. So the first thing is the important part of lead generation is you're typically doing it with some kind of campaign or advertising investment to get people in the door to submit that lead information. The nice thing about using Messenger as the tool to sort of collect lead information is it's connected to Facebook, and it can also be connected to Facebook ads. And so the way this works is you run ads across Facebook's different platforms. That can be Facebook, Instagram, or Messenger, that ask people to message your business to find out more about your service. And when people click through from that boosted post or from that ad, they're then dropped into a Messenger chat with you. And there's 2 ways you can manage that. You can automate part of it, which I'll talk about how you do, so that you're not having to message them the questions you need them to answer. So that can be automated. That's really easy to set up. Or the ad can drop someone into a live chat with you, and so you can respond to them and ask them questions. So I'll tell you how those 2 ways work. So the first way would be using a boosted post. So this is how you do it with a boosted post. Let's assume you've got page messaging turned on for your business, like we talked about. So you've done that already in your Facebook page. When you boost a post, so if you're on your page and you see the option to boost a post, or you're anywhere in Facebook and we prompt you to boost a post, one of the things you can do is set the destination where you want that post to drive people. And you can send it to your mobile website or your page or whatever, but you can also, you'll see an option if you have page messaging turned on to send messages. And that means when someone sees that boosted post and they click it, it will send them to message your business on Messenger. And so what you do is you run that campaign. People will see your boosted post, and if they click it, they'll begin messaging you, and that's where you would collect the lead generation information. So the example of the caterer I worked with did exactly that. This was after the holidays, and she had seen a drop-off in bookings, which is totally understandable. You know, the holidays are a busy time if you have a catering business. And so in January, she was wanting to generate more leads and generate more business. So she boosted a post. She had people contact her in Messenger, and they were able to do two things. One is she was able to get their lead information, so she could continue to follow up with them and schedule appointments and things like that. But people could also, of course, not just give her that information, but also get valuable questions answered from her. And she did that all through a boosted post, and then responding to those messages through her Facebook page. So that's one way. I know you guys are pretty sophisticated with our advertising tools, so the more advanced or the more precise way to do this would be using Ads Manager or Business Manager, which I know you guys have talked about as well. If you use Ads Manager, just like you create any other ad for Facebook or Instagram, you can create an ad that will send people to Messenger. And so you would create an ad, a lead generation ad, that sends people to Messenger, and within the Ads Manager tool, this is pretty cool, you can automate the whole messaging experience. So not only can you create the content for your ad, but you can also create the content for your Messenger experience. So you can ask people up to 6 questions, and all of that can be set up and automated within Messenger, within Ads Manager, so that you get a report. So you might say, like, okay, the first thing I want to know is what sort of service is this person interested in. The next thing I might want to know is what's the best way to contact them. Is it in Messenger or by phone or email? The third thing I want to know is, what time of day is best to follow up. But I'm making this stuff up, but you get the idea. You can customize up to 6 questions that you want answers to, and that happens right inside of Ads Manager, and all the other creation of the ad and the targeting and all that other stuff works just like it does for any other kind of ad that you'd be running across Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, or anywhere else on our platforms. So those would be the 2 options to do that.
That's awesome.
Oh, it is. It's really fascinating because it really enables a small business owner to really kind of respond after hours or after their business is closed, and still show that they can give that customer service, and while generating new business, at any hour of the day that they're available they have their phone with them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great because they can dial it up or down. So I think the example of the caterer was great because her business is seasonal, and she can decide, like, I don't need to run any ads right now because or generate any leads right now because I'm quite busy. And then she can decide to turn it on when the business hits a time or a season where she might want to when she might want to generate some more of those responses. So I like that it can be flexible in that way as well.
That's a great point. Wayne and I always talk about spending at least $1 a day on ads, and just because it kind of gets you so much extra reach, gets you to people outside of who you're already connected to or connected to your business. So you would I guess you would recommend kind of pairing Messenger with that somewhat ad spend of some kind.
Yeah, I think the important thing to know is ads can be important, obviously, when you're trying to do marketing. Advertising isn't the only form of marketing, and we know that.
Yeah.
But so this isn't just a plea for businesses to spend their hard-earned marketing budgets with us. But if you want to generate leads, Kevin, you're right. You need to put yourself out there, and the best way to do that efficiently is with ads, because we can target them to the people who are most relevant to your business and who are actually most likely to submit that lead or to message you. So there's a built-in efficiency there. Only people who have Messenger installed on their phone are going to see that ad.
Yeah.
Only people are the people who are most likely to respond are the people who are going to see that ad. So we can offer some efficiency that way. I think the other important thing to know here, and Wayne was talking about this, is responsiveness. As I mentioned, it's possible just within this example of lead generation to automate some things so that you're not having to necessarily respond to every message that comes through. I know a lot of businesses feel like, oh my gosh, if I turn on messaging for my page, am I just going to have this deluge of messages coming in and one more channel I need to react to and respond to? And so the good thing to know here is within those same tools within your Facebook page. So in your inbox on your Facebook page or in your settings for your Facebook page, you can automate a lot of this stuff as well. So you can create what are called instant replies or automatic replies. You can send someone who messages you a note if you're out of the office or if you're away for the day, letting them know when you'll respond to them. You can also include FAQs. So if there are commonly asked questions, you can respond with answers to those automatically.
Nice.
All of this is really easy to set up in your Facebook page. So if you're feeling like you don't want to be glued to your phone 24/7, but you still want to be responsive to people who are submitting leads or people who are asking questions, there are lots of tools right within your Facebook page that make it very easy to do that.
It's taking advantage of the full offering, really. And what was also interesting in the lead gen example is it's a way to help pre-qualification too. So depending on how you set up your questions, you can help pre-qualify where they're at within their buying cycle or their customer journey. You can also then start to probe a little bit to find out exactly which area of your service or product they would fit. So for a software company, who are trying to get free trials or things like that, depending on where that individual, you could ask the question, have you set up a free trial before? If they answer yes, then they go on from a different stream. If they answer no, you direct them straight to the free trial of that software. So I can say, again, from a lead generation point of view, it just opening up a more direct way to connect with your audience, and then add it together with your ads. You're actually starting to see some real return on investment, which I think is valuable, because a lot of the ads that you put out there, you don't always see that return.
No, it's true.
Not just,
and especially being able
Facebook.
to respond in a rapid manner, as you pointed out, even not from the customer service, even from the lead gen. I know there's a lot of research been done for like real estate folks about the faster you respond, the better response rate and all. But we're just about out of time. Gabe, I really appreciate you joined us this morning. I know it was early on the West Coast, but before we go, I just want to know: is there any Facebook Messenger or Facebook, ad certifications or training you'd recommend for small business owners?
Yeah, I definitely would. So if you go to the Facebook business website, this is an easy one. It's facebook.com/business. You'll find everything you need there, including training and certification. So we have a training program called Blueprint, Facebook Blueprint, which covers not just Facebook and Facebook business products, but Messenger and Messenger business products as well. So if you want to learn more, dig in and get trained and go through that process, that's available at facebook.com/business.
Awesome.
We'll add a link to our website